Good morning, welcome to day 22 of Vlogmas. So it is Friday the 22nd of December. It's only 3 days to go now until Christmas, which is very exciting. And actually, after today, there'll only be 2 more days left of Vlogmas, which seems strange. It feels like it's gone so fast. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but I'm really enjoying it and I hope you are too. So yes, today is Friday and we've had a bit of a slow start to the morning. It's quite a grey day outside today. It was very, very windy yesterday and it looks like it's still a little bit windy out there today. We had our food shop delivered a little bit earlier while we were still in our pyjamas actually. So yeah, I've got that all stored in the kitchen. It was a bit of a sort of Tetris trying to get everything fitted into the fridge, all the extra Christmas bits, but I just about got it all fitted in, so that's good. And we are going to head out in a little bit to pick up just the last few things we need that didn't come in the shop. But yeah, we're trying to have a bit of a relaxed start today after a bit of a late evening yesterday. So yes, while everyone's having a bit of a relax, I thought I would come on here and catch up. And I'll start off as usual with what we found Elf up to when we came downstairs this morning. And we found when we came down that Elf had gathered together all of the knitted cats and dogs I've knitted over the years. And he'd organised them into 2 teams, the knitted cat team and the knitted dog team. And they were having a tug of war with Elf as the sort of referee, I guess, in the middle. He'd got again his little checkered flag that he'd used for the car racing earlier in Vlogmas. I think he was obviously quite pleased with that flag and wanted to have another go with it, so he was using it for the tug of war too. And he'd used quite a cute little red Christmassy bow to mark the centre of the rope, so you could see which way the rope would be pulled and who would win. And as you can see, that there are a few more knitted cats than knitted dogs, but there are a couple of quite big, beefy knitted dogs at the back there, so it was hard to tell who might win. But yeah, it looked like quite an even sort of tug of war when we arrived, actually. It looked like they'd kind of, yeah, we're both giving it a good go. So yes, that is what we found this morning. So my daughter was a little bit horrified that Elf had been in her room and borrowed all of the knitted cats and dogs. And my sons were there too, but he was a bit more laid back about it. But anyway, my daughter spent a happy while after that playing with her knitted cats and dogs. So that was a nice way to start the morning. And then in terms of what I'm wearing today, well, I've been wearing jeans and sweatshirts for the last couple of days at least. So I thought I'd mix it up today and get on a dress. And this is a dress that I've kind of been thinking about wearing for the last few days and just for one reason or another haven't put on just because what I've been up to. But I thought I'm going to finally wear it today because I keep sort of noticing it in my cupboard. And it's not a super new make, it's maybe a year or 2 old, but it's a really nice dress, I think. I made it using this pattern here, which is the Shelby dress and romper pattern by True Bias. It's quite an old pattern, this one, but I think the 90s style is still quite popular, so I can still see Shelby's being made and worn out and about, and it is a really nice one. So I'll show you the line drawings. It's got a sort of V-neck and button down front, and you can make it either as a mini length or a maxi length, and either a dress or a sort of romper or a sort of jumpsuit with these quite flowing legs. And then what's quite nice about it and a bit different is it's got princess seams, and then similar type seams at the back too, so it's got a really nice shape to it, and there are no darts, the seams do all the shaping, the princess seams. And then you can add on a little tie at the back to cinch it in, which you sort of sew into the back panels here. So yeah, it's got a facing around the neck, and as with True Bias patterns generally, I always think they sew up really nicely. I find the instructions really methodical. And in terms of fabrics, it recommends lightweight woven fabrics with drape. And the version I'm wearing today, I made in this lovely viscose twill fabric. So it's slightly heavier than a viscose challis, and it works quite well, I think, as a winter Shelby. It feels quite nice and cosy, especially layered over a plain black Freya top. This is what I was saying about how I find these Freya tops really useful yesterday. I find they're really good for layering underneath loads of things. But yeah, it's a really cute little dress, I think. I don't have a lot of dresses. A lot of my dresses are sort of darted bodices and then gathered skirts, so it feels quite nice to be wearing a different style of dress. And I quite like how the Shelby sort of pattern pieces flare out quite a bit, so it's quite a swishy skirt, even though the bodice is quite fitted. When you trace out the pattern pieces are quite unusual, and it's a bit interesting how you sort of place them on the cutting layout, because they sort of start off quite small for the bodice and then they flare out a lot for the swishy skirt. But yes, I really like this viscose twill fabric. I think it's quite a wintry one because it's got a black base and it's got these sort of pretty splodges on in like a very soft pinky taupe colour and white. And then when I made it, I decided to have a go at doing the covered buttons. So I bought the buttons and used the fabric to cover them, which was a little bit fiddly, but I think it was worth it. I really like how it's turned out. I'll stand up a bit so you can see the buttons. Hopefully you can see them there. They are a little bit camouflaged into the fabric. I think this one would look quite nice with the black button as well, but I just really fancied giving the cover buttons a go, and I haven't done them that many times, but yeah, I do like them. And in terms of sizing, I made the size 0. That's pretty much my measurements was bang on my measurements for the chest and waist. The hip measurement is 2 inches smaller than my hips, but like I said, the skirt is really swishy on this, so I didn't need to sort of size up on that. There's plenty of room there because it does properly sort of come out at that point. So yeah, yeah, it's a really nice one. I do remember I had to do a bit of tweaking to it in terms of the bodice, just adjusting the princess seams a little bit to sort of fit my figure. But I find princess seams are quite easy to sort of adjust because you can just sort of pinch a little bit out where you need to get that shape. So I do quite like princess seams for that. Oh, and there are 2 sleeve options too, actually. There's like a cap sleeve and then sort of more classic sleeve. And I went for the more classic sleeve because I thought that might be a bit more wintry. I think this cap sleeve would be quite nice, maybe a summery one, quite nice and loose and light, but I thought for a winter one, I'll go for more of a classic sleeve. So that's what I'm wearing today, and I'll pop a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. It feels quite nice to be wearing a dress after a couple of days of jeans. Yeah, I feel quite nice and girly in this one. So that's what I'm wearing today. And then the next thing I wanted to share is that yesterday I had a bit of time in the afternoon to finish my Boxy zipped pouch. So yeah, I thought I'd share that now. I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out. I think it's really cute. Here it is. Yeah, I really love it. I know I made the pencil case earlier in Vlogmas, but this feels like a step up from the pencil case, and I'm really happy with the finish on it, and I'm really looking forward to using it. So yes, this is my Boxy zipped pouch in this lovely rust coloured corduroy. I'm happy with the length of the tabs because you make the tabs and then you can kind of decide what length you want to make them. So I trimmed mine off a little bit and I'm quite pleased with the length. And I'm glad I went for the corduroy fabric for the tabs rather than the lining fabric, because I think it gives a really nice sort of coherent finish outside of the bag. And I'm happy I went for the black zip as well, because I wasn't 100% sure if that was the right choice or whether I should have gone for a white zip, but I think there's that black zip that looked really nice. And I'm pleased actually with the tabs because it was quite fiddly to get them sort of make sure it was nice and centred on the zip, but I think they're nicely centred there on the zip on each end. So yeah, I really love it. I'll open it up so you can see inside too. And I like how the zip goes around the edges, so when you open it up there's loads of sort of room to open it so you can really see to the bottom. So here is the inside. So yes, with this lovely white spotty fabric, which I think looks really cute against the black zip and the corduroy. And it was quite fiddly at the end actually, to kind of, you have to kind of sew each kind of corner to sort of make it into a box, and the final couple of corners you do on the lining fabric, and it all gets quite tightly together as it kind of turns into a sort of box shape. So it's quite tricky to get them through the sewing machine, but it wasn't as fiddly as the bit I was mentioning yesterday where you have to sew the ends and catch the lining in the zip but not the main fabric. So yeah, it was definitely easier, and I felt like I was on the home straight at that point. And then the final little bit I had to do was a bit of hand sewing just to sew the seam line at the bottom of the bag. In the tutorial, the lady did say you can machine sew that, but you'll end up with like a little bit of a pinched seam at the bottom where you've sort of squidged those two bits together. So I thought I'd hand sew because I really wanted to get a nice finish. And I like to hand sew seams like that using a stitch I learnt when I did my quilting course. I think it's called a ladder stitch, and you kind of sew a little bit, you sort of thread the needle through one side and then move across, and then thread the needle through the other side and then move across. So rather than slip stitch where you kind of go round and round and you can sometimes see the stitch a bit, you don't really see the stitch at all, and I quite enjoyed doing a bit of that. I think it's called ladder stitch. So yes, you couldn't really see probably at all what stitch I'd chosen at the bottom, but I quite enjoyed doing that. So yeah, that's how it turns out. I'm really happy with it, and I like the actual interfacing I used. I know I mentioned earlier in Vlogmas how I'd bought the sort of squishier, sort of thicker bag interfacing, and there was a lighter weight one too, and I wasn't sure if I'd gone for the right one, and it probably did make it a bit trickier in terms of the bulk of the fabric, but actually it gives a lovely squishy finish to the bag, so I'm glad I used that. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think it's quite a nice size. It actually is a little bit smaller than I was expecting, and I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I didn't actually sort of sketch out the measurements and figure out how big the bag would be, but I think it's a really nice, cute size. And I like that there's also a smaller option and a bigger option available. I might try those in the future. Although I do think making the smaller option would be really fiddly, and I wouldn't probably want to give it a go in a thicker fabric like corduroy. I think if it was in a quilting cotton weight cotton, that would make it a bit easier, because I did find it a bit challenging even with this size. Some of the bits were quite fiddly in the corduroy, but yes, that is my Boxy zipper pouch. I'm really glad I was able to finish it before the end of Vlogmas so I could share it with you all. It was a really fun project actually, and it felt like a step up from the pencil case in terms of sewing skills. And I'd definitely like to try more different sewing things, it does make me inspired to try different things as well as dressmaking, which I usually do. So yeah, I think I'll probably try a few more of this sort of type of project in the future, but yeah, I'm really pleased I was able to finish that and share it with you guys. Oh, and also in terms of the Boxy zipper pouch, just to mention, I will link the YouTube tutorial I used down below. I have been trying every day in Vlogmas to make sure I link everything I'm talking about on that day. So yes, I'll link that down below again. I found it a really nice, clear, easy tutorial to follow, and I'm really happy with how my Boxy zipper pouch turned out. And also there is an accompanying blog post as well. So if you prefer sort of following instructions through a blog post rather than a video, I think there's a link to the blog post in the Boxy zipper pouch video description underneath, so that's worth checking out too. So I thought I'd just mention that. And then the next thing that I wanted to share while I was on is, I thought that since Elf had got down all of the knitted cats and dogs last night, while they were down, I thought I might share a couple of my favourites from over the years, because I've been knitting them for quite a while, so you might not have seen a few of the older ones, or it might have been a long time ago on my channel I shared them. So I've just picked out a couple of my favourites here. And just to recap from where I've knitted them from, I've knitted them from 2 books by Sue Stratford. This is one of them. It's called Knitted Cats and Kittens. And there's also another one called Knitted Cats and Dogs. I think this one might be out of print now, but the Knitted Cats and Dogs one is still available. And I've got a link to it on my Amazon favourites list, which I've also included down below in case you're a knitter and you fancy giving any of these cute little characters a go. But yes, I've got some of my favourites here, and the first ones are definitely a favourite. These are the easiest ones to pick out. I think these were one of my favourites to knit, and in terms of how they turned out too, are these 2 guys here, these 2 kitties, and they are doorstop kitties. So they are very heavy. Each of them inside has got a sock filled with sort of weighting beads, because yeah, they are used as doorstops in my son and daughter's room. Not all the time, sometimes they sit on the side and just watch the world go by. But when it's kind of in the summer, we want to kind of have the windows open and get a bit of a breeze through, we'll use them to sort of push the doors open. And I'm always very happy to see them there doing their thing. So yeah, I made one for my son and one for my daughter. They're knitted in a cotton yarn, so they feel quite nice and sort of hard wearing. They haven't gone sort of bobbly like an acrylic yarn sort of more tends to do over time. And they're really fun to knit. I think I used the intarsia technique to do these stripes, which gives a lovely finish, I think, and make sure the 2 different colour yarns are nicely sort of bonded together, so there are no gaps there. And I think this might be one of my first times trying, and I was really happy with how these turned out. And then you add on the tail, and the tail's got a bit of stuffing in, so it's got a bit of a 3D feel to it, and I'm just really happy with how their little faces turned out. I think they've both got really happy, smiley expressions, and the stripes continue on the back too. And I remember knitting these, or at least I think I was knitting both of them kind of in tandem when we were on holiday a few years ago on the Isle of Wight. So whenever I see them, it takes me back to that holiday, and they have really happy memories. And I do love how knitting does that. I find often when I think of a particular knitting project, suddenly I can remember what I was watching on TV when I was knitting it, or where I was when I was knitting it, and I love that about knitting. So yeah, those are 2 of my favourites, these 2 little cute doorstop cats, one in this sort of purpley lilac colours and one in these blues. The next one is one of the older ones. I remember being really pleased with this because it was quite a fiddly knit when I was a bit newer to knitting. And this one was for my son, and this is Super Cat. Yeah, and I just remember being so pleased with how he came together because of all the fiddly bits. He's got this really cute little superhero outfit and little cape, and I managed to find a little kitten button to sort of pop his cape together, and he's got his little sort of eye mask thing that's tied at the side here. And a little curly tail at the back with a little light grey bit at the back. And yeah, I just remember being really proud of him and how he turned out. And yeah, that was one of the first ones I knitted for my son, and my son was so pleased with Super Cat and spent a bit of time when he was a bit littler with Super Cat flying around. Now he mostly just sits on my son's dresser and just kind of, again, just chills there and watches what's going on in the house. But yeah, I remember being really, really pleased with him. And then more recently, which you'll have seen earlier in Vlogmas, is this one here that I made, Kitty Cat. And I love her because I love her little outfits and all the intricate details on them. So yeah, my daughter has this one now. I gave it to her a few days ago, and she's really happy. And Kitty's been out to a few places with us. She came out to the Christmas lights last night, actually, as well as Elf. Elf came too. And so my daughter was really pleased with this, and she spotted the little fish on the end of this little ribbon, and I love all the little details. I love these little blobs at the bottom of her dress. I think it's such a sweet detail, and I love even more than this outfit, I love her original outfit, her little cute little onesie pyjama outfit, which has a little hole in the back of her tail I love this little fluffy bunny on it. Yeah, the little buttons here, all the details I love. So yeah, she's one of my favourites too. Especially love her bunny slippers, which my daughter wasn't ever very keen on, and Kitty didn't wear them a lot, but I just love them with the little fluffy tails and everything. So yes, Kitty is another of my favourites. And then my one other favourite is another one I knitted for my daughter. This is the only dog I've picked as a favourite, actually. And this is this little poodle here. And I think she's really cute because I love the texture of her little body, this sort of fluffy pink wool. And what I think is really cute about her is I feel like she looks like she's almost exercising. She always looks like she's got sort of sweatbands on and little leg warmers as well. So I think she looks like, yeah, she might be running like a little sort of fitness class or something. So I think she's really cute too. Yeah, she's a bit more of a recent knit. But yeah, I love her fluffiness. So yeah, those are just a few of my favourites that I thought you might like to see. There are loads, so too many to pick from. I also actually love the little mice. I made a whole load of little mice in like a lightweight yarn, like a fingering yarn. And I've had them dotted around the house sometimes, just sort of peeking out between books and things, and they kind of tickle me. So I really like them. I love their oversized ears and their little tails, and yeah, I think they're quite cute and tiny too. So anyway, I thought you might like to see a few of these guys while I had them all downstairs, so I could share a few of my favourites. It is quite hard to pick actually because I'm looking around and I can see a few other ones I love, but yeah, I'll leave it there for now. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to finish off this bit of the video now, and we're going to head out to the local supermarket and just pick up the final few bits we need for Christmas, then we're done with food shopping hopefully. And what I'll do is I'll leave you with some videos and pictures from the lights display we went to yesterday evening. It was really, really lovely. We were lucky with the weather actually. I mentioned it was really windy earlier in the day, and actually as we were walking up to the lights display in the car park, the wind was coming across. It was pretty strong, but once we got into the actual lights display, it was sort of set through woodland and paths, so it felt quite nice and sheltered there. So it was quite nice and it wasn't too cold. And yeah, we had a lovely time looking around. The lights were really nice. We stopped and toasted a few marshmallows at a fire pit too. And yeah, it was a lovely evening. And we didn't go back too late in the end. We had a really good run. There wasn't too much traffic, so that was good too. But yes, I will leave you with some footage from the light trail. And Elf came along, so yeah, just do keep your eye out. You might see Elf photobombing a picture at one point in the video. So yeah, keep your eye out for Elf too. And I'll catch up with you a little bit later today. So yes, see you a little later. Bye. again now, and it's a bit later in the day here. We've been home a while, had some lunch, that sort of thing. And I hope you enjoyed that footage of the light show that I popped in. We had a really nice time there. It was very, very pretty and magical in the grounds there with the light show. And I hope you spotted Elf there peeking into our photograph at the end. I hadn't actually realised he was in the photograph when I was taking it. I sort of had him in my hand, and only afterwards did we spot him, and it made us giggle that he managed to do that little photo bomb. So yeah, I think he enjoyed the light trail as much as we all did too. But yes, our plans for the rest of the day are, in a little bit we are going to be going out again, and we are going out to a local garden centre to see Father Christmas, which we're all looking forward to. It's the garden centre we went to last year actually. It's quite a small garden centre, quite relaxed and low-key, which is our preference, and it's got a nice cafe as well, so we'll hopefully pop past there, pay the cafe a visit while we're there as well. So yes, that is the plan. So I'll try and take a few pictures or a bit of footage while we're there, but I think I'll include that again in tomorrow's video, because I should probably finish this video off now, as I know it's getting a little bit longer already. So, and I want to try and get this started editing and uploading before I head out. So yes, I'll finish this video off now, but I'll make sure to take some pictures or videos or something a little bit later and share them tomorrow for day 23, Christmas Eve. So yes, thank you so much for joining me for another day, and I'll look forward to seeing you for the penultimate day of Vlogmas tomorrow, day 23. I hope you have a lovely evening, whatever you're up to, and I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Bye!